Well, as the curse goes, these are interesting times. It's also time to step up. Listen, I spoke to you about my book. It's called A Loose Grip, and the reason I'm bringing it up right now in the subtitle, the title is real important. A loose grip. I've explained it before. It refers to the loose hold that we have not only on the republic but on our psyches, and I want to talk about that. But there's a part of the subtitle. It's called "The Governance in Public: If You Can Keep It," and the Trump thing. And I want to highlight here, real important, if you can keep it. Now, a lot of people really didn't know what that referred to in history. Sometimes we forget our folklore, and supposedly Ben Franklin had said it after the Constitutional Convention in 1787, I believe. At any rate, the legend is he's walking out of the Independence Hall. Someone comes up to him, maybe it was a woman. She said, Dr. Franklin, what do we have here? A monarchy or a republic? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Now, whether it happened or not, it's incredibly profound piece of folklore. And the thing, it really does play to psychology. If you can keep it, you is a call not for the whole country, but it's a call on the individual. You is you. It's interesting. I mean, I hadn't thought about this until just this moment, although I obviously thought about it when I was writing the book, but I actually have a chapter in the book called You. And again, I mean, I knew why I wrote that, but just in talking with you today, I wasn't planning on looping this into the discussion, but it's the whole point of the discussion. You are the issue. And right now, we are going through times where we need to step up. And it's on you what you're going to do about it. Now, I'm asked a lot as a psychotherapist, how do we deal with all of this? The kind of discourses that we're having that are really negative, bad enough that we might have them with anybody, bad negative discourse, but with our friends and our families. So this is coming up all the time. And there are ways of dealing with that. Just briefly, try to avoid arguments. As simple as that. I actually don't argue with people. I don't bring an argument into a discussion, but sometimes the argument comes to you, and I could talk about that at another time. But I just wanted to, highlight that these are times that people are really stressed out quite a lot about how to talk about the politics of our times. And of course, in the subtitle is the Trump thing, and that's important too because the election of Donald Trump ignited an era, and it ignited an era that really just exposed all of the issues that are going on. Now, here's the issue of the day, of the month, of the 2 months, of the 3 months. And I'm worried that we won't resolve it effectively, but we have a chance to. And guess what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the election. Now, with the election, of course, you have strained discourse, and you have the divisions and the polarities of the one side and the other side, just to keep it simple. And the way election is supposed to go, because we should have our ducks in a row. We should know how to register people to vote and carry on an election. And anyone smart enough and aware enough knew that with the pandemic that we had this year as being a bad excuse for causing voting, mass mailing and all that, it just opened up a lot of areas where fraud can take place. Now, the way it's being discussed in the news, the media, the media that's not doing you any service, is that the election's over with and nothing to see. We got to move on, and we should just come together as a country. And it's an absurd idea. I've talked about it in another video posting that I did, and the idea that you have these really incredibly contentious election cycles, campaigning and all that, and that at the end, people just come together no matter what the results are. So again, that's yet another issue. But the integrity of the election, and I talked about it in another post as well. But I want to highlight that it's remarkable that this really still isn't getting enough attention. Yes, you do see it in the news, and you'll see the two sides. One saying that we need to move on, like I said. The other saying, no, there's some serious fraud here. We have to check this out. And as it stands today, there is a case that was brought to the Supreme Court by the state of Texas. Other states may join in, regarding 4 swing states. And the court, instead of dismissing it, the High Court, the Supreme Court, instead of dismissing it, has called upon the states that were identified to respond to this. Now, after they respond, they could decide to dismiss it as well, or it could open up a lot of investigation. And you can imagine that those people who wanted Donald Trump not to be reelected, and Joe Biden obviously ran against him, and according to the media calling the election, Biden is president-elect. Well, those people are going to want to move on. And you can imagine the 74 or so million people who voted for Trump are going to say, time out, wait a second. We need to look at what's going on. So getting back to the you, in any discussions that you may have with anybody, that you're trying to avoid arguments, but at the same time, you don't want to just park your brain. If you can find a way, an opening kind of way, saying, look, whoever wins an election needs to win legitimately. And these charges or these concerns about voter fraud are not new in this country. But we have an opportunity to look at it. I'm in favor of looking at the evidence that it's been called baseless claims. If you have an opportunity, you can challenge that. You can say, given the amount of evidence that's cascading here, you wouldn't call it baseless until you looked at it. Nothing can be called baseless until it's looked at. And it's like anything else. It's if you go to any company, you go to their complaint department, you make a complaint. And if it's good customer service, they're going to look into it. Obviously, not everything can get resolved, but the point is, this should be getting a lot of attention. And to the extent, from your perspective, as an individual, without getting into arguments, any opportunity that you can have to say, I'd like this to be looked in. I'd like it to be looked into thoroughly. I'd like our election system to be tightened up enough so that voters who vote are legitimate voters, and we can then have trust and we can have confidence in what the election results are. If this isn't done this time, no matter who takes the oath of office for the next term that's coming up, this country will not be settled. It will be in a state of terrible conflict. Obviously, whatever happens, even if it goes in that direction of terrible conflict, we do have institutions that can move on, but it's going to be very, very fractured. And this is, getting back to the if you can keep it, is precisely what is being highlighted here. We can't keep it unless there's integrity. And if you shy away from the opportunities that you can take to not get into arguments, but to do the best you can to say you're looking for fair and legitimate elections so that the country can have confidence in how it's run. That's the key. So that's my message to you today. And as I say to you, always the best to you in all good things.